This podcast is a Radio Mike original production. Head to radiomike.com.au to find out more. Hello, Hamora everyone. Mike here from the podcast, just popping in at the top here because I wanted to do a little disclaimer at the top of this episode, and no one is more disappointed about this than me, I guarantee you. Unfortunately, after recording this week's episode, I realized in the edit that for whatever reason, well, I know the reason, but there are points in this episode in which the audio kind of glitches out a bit, and like you'll hear what I mean when you listen. It is super annoying. This for me is an absolute nightmare. I hate it. I don't like putting stuff out when there's audio issues like this, but upon assessment, I don't like my guest is Pat, my producer on the show, who did a fantastic job. Super funny. I don't like re-recording these, particularly because I think a lot of the fun and magic around this podcast, magic, no pun intended, is just the spontaneity and the liveness of it. You know, if we don't have, if we re-record it, we're trying to like recapture that lightning in a bottle that we get blind reacting to it. So I didn't want to re-record this. What I have done is I have cleaned up a lot of those glitchy moments, which does mean that some of the jokes just couldn't be in there. Like I had to cut them out, but please don't be disheartened. On the most part, this is a totally listenable episode. There are just some points where you'll notice there are little glitchy bits. And then there are, I think, 2 or 3 moments towards the end in which basically the entire context was glitched and muddled up and you couldn't actually understand what Pat was saying when reading the book. So I've actually just redubbed over literally what the book said and what Pat read out. So that might be a bit clunky and a little bit awkward, and I'm really sorry. Like, I genuinely am so annoyed. I know exactly why it happened, so it won't happen again. But yeah, I'm really annoyed. I hope you'll stick with it, and I hope you're not too annoyed at me, which I assume you're not. But it is just a little bit frustrating. But on the most part, this episode's really funny, and it does give rise to what I consider one of the funniest moments, one of the funniest quotes in the history of this entire book. Which is, you will hear it. I was hoping this wouldn't glitch, and it didn't really glitch. This is all good. The quote, "Aren't you happy, Sam?" which you will find out more about in this episode. So enjoy this, and thank you so much for understanding. 50 years after the events of the final Harry Potter books, and Harry Potter is now headmaster of Hogwarts, ready to usher in a brand new generation of witches and wizards. My name's Radio Mike, and I love Harry Potter. In fact, I love Harry Potter so much that when I was a kid, I wrote an entire series of fan fiction books based on Hogwarts. This is book 1 in that series. Welcome to Harry Potter and the Boys. Hello, purebloods, half-bloods, and even all the mudbloods out there, and welcome to Harry Potter and the Boys, a Harry Potter fanfiction by me, Radio Mike. 2 things about today. First of all, our guest, producer Pat, who works across the Radio Mike. Welcome.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you for having me.
Now, why are you on? Is it so we can plug the Patreon and hopefully get more people donating?
I think it's because you ran out of interesting guests.
I might have run out of interesting guests. No. I've been trying to get Pat on the show for a while. Welcome to Harry Potter and the Boys.
Thank you, man.
One more thing we should say is I am currently moving, so we are in an empty house. So there may be a lot of echo currently in a completely empty room, which is interesting in itself, I guess. It's a fun little story.
It's a whole other story.
Yeah. So we won't really get into that now.
No. That's not important at all.
What we really care about on this podcast, obviously, is Harry Potter.
Yeah.
So what is your experience with Harry Potter? And over the years, have you read the books? Have you watched the films? Have you played the PS2 games? You tell us, Pat.
Yes, I've played the EA Sports Quidditch game. No, I haven't.
From memory, it was like very bad. Or was it good?
I never played it. I almost bought it like like right when the PS2 was being phased out. And
Yeah.
Like I remember seeing it at an EB Games, like, I should get that, but I never got it.
Yeah.
So
My friends had
that.
it, and I remember it being like, how do you make a Quidditch video game good? Because especially if you're the
don't.
seeker, like, what? You just fly around? Like, yeah. So I remember it not being very good. But yeah,
Yeah.
what's your XP?
I was only 1 when the first movie came out, and obviously,
And you was -3 probably when the first book came out.
Yes,
And you were probably like -6 when JK came up with it, but wasn't sure about it.
yeah, somewhere in the negatives. But
Yeah.
I remember the earliest that I can date back to is actually through Lego.
Oh, okay.
When I was about, say, 3-4 years old, I remember I got like one of the original like Chamber of Secrets sets. It was the Chamber of Secrets, and it had like Harry.
Dobby?
No, not Dobby.
Dobby missed out on a Lego set, just
I
like he
know.
missed out on freedom for all those years.
Yeah,
It's disappointing.
I have to give him a sock later. But yeah, and yeah, I remember loving that set. And then obviously I saw the movies later. I didn't properly watch them. Actually, the movie on cinemas was Half-Blood Prince. So obviously,
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Which was 2009.
yeah, great place to start. Obviously, at the
The penultimate.
Yeah.
Well, I guess in movie form it was the third last, but because
Yeah.
because the last book was two
second
movies.
last like story ish thing. But yeah, when I was about 10. That's when I started to get back into not get back into, but like I got into the movie. So like we got like the box set, watched it all, loved it, consuming every bit of like fan-made media online. Oh, obviously, sorry. And to go back to like, Sam I saw that's also covered the Potter Puppet Pals, obviously. And that was, that was a whole thing of itself. That could have its own episode of this podcast, obviously.
Potter Puppet Pals is a just incredible piece of pop culture.
Yeah.
That I don't know if you know this, but the guy who did the Potter Puppet Pals is the same guy. Did you ever hear the Ultimate Showdown of Ultimate Destiny?
know of it. I've heard. Neil Ciceriga.
Yeah.
His name?
So he's also behind the Potter Puppet Pals.
Yeah.
He's a very talented guy who does a lot of cool like music projects and stuff.
Yeah. So iconic. Like of that, like especially like that early YouTube era of like the early stuff, like, like the intense staring gerbil, whatever that was, Afro Ninja, Star Wars Kid.
Yeah. Speaking of Lego Harry Potter, did you ever play the Lego Harry Potter games?
I did.
Because I know we totally garbaged the Quidditch World Cup, but if you want a great Harry Potter game, the best Harry Potter games are the Lego Harry Potter ones.
For sure. I actually, it's funny because like I remember instead of like buying the game, for some reason I just used to rent it a lot. Like I'd go to Video Easy and I'd just rent it like 3 or 4 times.
Did they still have Video Easy in like 2010?
2010, yeah. I mean,
Wow.
Few years away from like completely being phased out, but yeah.
Yeah. For international listeners, Video Easy is like what Blockbuster was.
Yeah, it was a pretty good place.
In Australia.
I remember when I was like 5 or 6, I made a little drawing for a Video Easy and they stuck it up on top of their games. And I was like, that's my drawing. So like, something of a big deal.
Can I just say to Harry Potter fans, so the best part about the Lego video games, and they did the Star Wars ones, they didn't have any voice acting in the cutscenes. So basically, it's worth watching, going on YouTube and getting a cutscene compilation from Lego Harry Potter, because they basically retell the story with Lego figurine animations. But the one thing I loved about it, they did it comedically. Like they were very funny games, sort of like this podcast.
Oh, a bit of a stretch, but I mean, we're close. Like if like Lego games are up here, where they say like there,
We're somewhere on the spectrum.
at the bottom.
Yeah, at the bottom of the spectrum. But do you have a favorite movie or book?
Well, I've only read. I started reading the books when I was in like grade 5, and I only got to the.
So was that last year?
Yeah, that was when.
Well, it would have been hard in lockdown.
Yeah, I had all that time.
Grade 5. That's an important year.
I know, man. Yeah. Well, in terms of favorite book, I only read the first 2, so I guess I can say one or the other, but I don't really remember having a favorite. So let's just say both. In terms of a movie, I think Prisoner of Azkaban would have to be my favorite.
Yeah, great.
Like, yeah, especially like Alfonso Cuarón. Yeah, like he's made some great movies, and I think like the way that movie was made was fantastic. I just think like the storytelling of, like the storytelling is such a broad thing, right?
Well,
what would you like about the movie? The movie.
Not to burst your bubble, but I'm pretty sure a lot of the storytelling was more to do with J.K. Rowling than true wrong.
That's
so, guys, we're going to end it here. Pat isn't actually able to be on the pod.
I will never, I'm going to go back to my home world. It needs me now. You'll never see me in the Radio Mike universe again. I'm gone. Goodbye.
No. Prisoner of Azkaban, I think you're trying, like, stylistically...
Yeah, that word
uses a lot of techniques to help tell the story, and it's a bit more absurd. I said to someone else when they came on it's kind of like Tim Burton-ish in its style.
Yeah, I definitely get that.
Comparatively, but yeah, it's certainly my favorite movie as well. To House, I always guess the house of the guest that is on the show, and I guess I'm not to quote the Sorting Hat, but I'm not sure where to put you.
Really?
I'm going to say Gryffindor, though. You definitely scream Gryffindor
when
to me.
I was in primary school, I said Gryffindor. But then when I was 16, Hufflepuff, I thought no one goes for that. But I know you notoriously hate Hufflepuffs.
Hufflepuff is Huffle stuff them because they suck.
Yeah.
Huffle suck.
Huffle stuff them. Huffle scum.
Yeah.
Huffle skunk.
So you would be a Hufflepuff or a Gryffindor?
No. I definitely.
You're definitely not a Ravenclaw.
No. But no, Hey, you say Gryffindor. Let's stick with that.
I reckon Gryffindor. What is your favorite story arc or character arc, whatever?
I really liked Tonks in. Was that the Order of the Phoenix?
She first appears in Order of the Phoenix.
Yeah.
Nymphadora Tonks.
Yeah, I really liked the character. And also on the DVD bonus features, there was like this thing where, and of course I'm talking about the DVD stuff, but like there's this thing where like the actor is going. She did this thing where she was going behind the scenes of on set, like. Not as Tonks, but in like the costume.
Yeah.
And I always loved that. I thought that was really cool. And like she just like fuck. Can I swear in this?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
man.
she would fuck around with she'd mess around with the crew and stuff, and I thought that was pretty funny. Yeah.
Tonks I feel like Tonks was underutilized in the films. Like if you read the books, like so much more going on with Tonks, particularly because I can't even remember it that clearly. So I do need to reread the books, but there's a lot going on with the fact that is closely related to the Malfoys.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
And the other thing is, obviously she dies at the end of Deathly Hallows as well as Remus. But the other thing I thought was interesting that's not in the films at all is that their son, Teddy Lupin, which may or may even be mentioned in the film that they have a son. Maybe she's pregnant at one point.
There's a bit where they're about to announce that she's pregnant, but then Meta comes out saying, save it for later or something.
Yeah, right. So like in the books, they obviously have the child and they both die.
Yeah.
But Professor Lupin will Remus and Harry to be the godfather. So
I did hear that.
Yeah. So Harry is actually the guardian for Lupin and Tonks' son.
Right.
And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, J.K. Rowling hinted that Teddy Lupin and maybe, Fleur Delacour and Bill Weasley's daughter hooked up. So that's an interesting little bit. All the hookups and scandals and breakups. And
that's not the worst thing J.K. Rowling's done the last few years, so.
I know, she's done much worse.
Yeah.
Bloody magic away your poo. Anyway.
Classic.
One more thing.
Yeah.
Patronus or Animagus, what do you think it would be? What animal?
Mine?
Yeah.
Like a penguin? I don't know.
So if you could transform into an animal, you'd be a penguin? Because
no one expects it. Everyone goes for the horse, the deer.
Yeah, but it wouldn't be that good in Australia. Like maybe if you're in Antarctica, great, you go happy feet it up. But in Australia, you're just going to be a penguin in the middle of like Australia.
Yeah, in the middle of like Flinders Street.
Oh no, I chose the wrong. Well, you don't really get to choose, but yeah.
No.
So you'd be a penguin. You'd be trying to slide, down Swanston Street and just be like, this is not working. Fair enough, man.
I don't know. I think you're given a bit of a bad rep. Like, I don't think, being a penguin, I think in certain situations, I think the advantage would be mine. But who am I to judge?
I mean, I've seen Happy Feet. I know being a penguin.
Oh, yeah. Good. I'll tap the fuck out of you any day.
You could go hang out at Phillip Island.
True.
Phillip Island is a place in Victoria, the state that Melbourne... Most internationals are like, what? What's Phillip Island?
Yeah,
what's the hell?
What's this obscure Australian thing?
So Phillip Island is basically an island in Victoria, the state that Melbourne is in, where there are penguins. But they're not like the Arctic penguins. They're like the pygmy penguins who, to be honest, they're pretty shit penguins. Like, they're feet penguins.
No.
Anyway, Pat, and I should say to the listeners, Pat has this thing where he gets really nervous whenever he's on any on-air kind of thing. You've done really well so far.
Thank you. That's what I was thinking too. But now that you've brought it up, my confidence went from like kind of here to like below.
All you really have to do from now is read age.
Well,
are you up for the challenge?
I don't know. Like, I only just got my pen license, so I might struggle a bit. So
let's get into the fanfic.
Let's do it.
Hey guys, Mike here, popping in before we get into the fanfic just to plug a bunch of stuff. I would love it if you also check out my other podcast, 20th Century Boy. It's about me, Radio Mike, a young writer, producer, and comedy-inclined person from here in Melbourne, Australia. I talk about pretty much everything other than Harry Potter. So if you like me and you're enjoying hearing me talk on this podcast, definitely head over to 20th Century Boy. Check out my weekly podcast there, which also goes up on my YouTube channel, Radio Mike. Just search there. And I also have TikTok now, Radio Mike. In fact, a clip from a recent episode of this podcast with Sammy Garlep, where we talked about an incident at a high school assembly, which if you've listened to every episode of this podcast, you will know, is sitting on over 200,000 views on TikTok right now. So go follow me on TikTok and check out some of my TikToks as well. Thank you so much. Enjoy the fanfic. All right, we're back. Here we go. We are up to chapter 23 of this godforsaken novel. It's funny because every time I have to write in the podcast description, I'm like, in chapter 22, this happens. But every week I'm like, nothing happened. Like, how do you summarize this chapter into like 2 sentences?
It's beyond normal media.
So I'm going to pass over the holy laptop with the original Word doc for Harry Potter and the Boys. Chapter 23. And
thank you.
Pat, take it away. As we always do on this pod,
of course,
we start by reading the name of the chapter. Can I just say, why do I always say to the guests, start by reading the name of the chapter? Like, surely you would have done that anyway. It's the top of the page.
You never know, man. Like,
anything can happen in this world.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Chapter.
Sorry, guys. We need to do a recap.
Please.
Have you heard so?
Look. Look. This was like when this was a segment on 20th Century Boy, if I can be honest, it was never my favorite segment.
That's why we separated it into its own podcast.
Yeah, and I don't really I heard a couple, like Dilrook, Sam Garlett, but I don't keep up as much as I should. Dragon
Mail Boy is a character that died in like chapter 4 before they even got to Hogwarts.
Right.
Suddenly, he's alive, backed up by his father, Boris Mailman, and Mr. Charger, the mean potions teacher at Hogwarts that seems to have some kind of dark side to him, right?
Right.
We find out in that chapter that Mr. Charger and Boris Mailman are scheming to kill the wizard at Hogwarts. It's not Harry Potter. It's Derek Derrickson, one of the stupidest boys in the year.
Right.
Apparently, he's the most powerful wizard. That's where we pick it up. The boys have left that room. Here we go. Pat, please take it away.
Chapter 23, The World's Hardest Exam.
Wow.
Wow, indeed. Already on a bad start. The boys ran back to the Gryffindor common room and at once explained everything to the boys. I love how there's a comma, like common room and, comma, at once explained. Like,
you know what I love the most about this sentence?
Right.
So many boys in this book that the sentence actually says the boys ran back to the common room and explained everything to the boys.
Well, I mean, look, this is Harry Potter and the boys, so like...
That's great writing there.
So what do we do now? Asked Luke.
It doesn't say now. Pat just ad-libbed that. He's made up a word.
Yeah, I've my dyslexia is really pouring in here.
So what do we do? Asked Luke.
Oh, are you going to read lines?
No, you do.
Yeah, I thought this was my episode, Michael.
It is your episode.
Thank you. It's obvious to Michael. What? Said Sam.
We have to find out where the shaft of light is, said Michael. The shaft of light is some kind of structure or weapon that Mr. Charger and Boris Mailman use to kill people.
So it's like a MacGuffin in this story.
What's a MacGuffin?
It's a thing in media, like movies and like TV and books, where like there's this like one piece where it's like important and crucial to the story to like fulfill something, like the Destiny from the Lego movie.
Sure, yeah.
Or like the Horcruxes, Harry Potter.
The shaft of light seems to be that, but knowing this book, theoretically, it could mean nothing. I mean, the book isn't called Harry Potter and the Shaft of Light. The book's called Harry Potter and the Boys. So we can only assume that the most important thing is the boys. So I wouldn't linger too much on the Shaft of Light.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Well, you and Rob can go. There's no way I'm doing that, said Lockie.
Lock's scared.
Fucking Lockie. I'm not going with him, said Rob. Yeah. Michael. I love how those dots. It's like, yeah, like to really insinuate the lie, it's like he had to put those dots there.
Rob and Michael have been fighting for the last few chapters. So that's why Rob doesn't want to go with Michael. Now,
I see.
Your next question might be, why are they fighting?
No, honestly, not at all. I don't care. Okay. Well, I really don't care.
I was going to say, I can't remember what Ford did. They haven't been talking for the last few weeks in real time. The book.
Right.
If someone remembers what they had a fight about, please write it in.
Comment it below because we certainly don't remember.
We don't remember.
No.
And I personally don't really care. But please write it in for the benefit of everyone else.
Yeah, we exclusively do not care at Radio Mike Productions. That's our mission statement.
Yeah, it's our motto. Everything.
Yeah. Come on, guys, stop this, said Sam.
So Sam is trying to break up I said we go line by line. Sam's obviously trying, hey guys, come on, stop this. You're friends. Can't you see you love each other? That kind of
So he's trying to be the good one.
I guess it's
Guess what Rob has to say? No way, said Rob.
Rob's pissed. But it must have been something serious that they fought about. Why is he so angry? What was it, guys? I forgot.
Who knows?
There's so much stuff happening in this book to keep track of.
And Mike, guess what line comes next?
They all went to bed. So I guess it's left unresolved.
Yeah, just
sleep on it.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll have that lingering. The holidays were almost over. The boys only had one more day of freedom. At the start of the second term, they would have to do exams.
Now, pause there.
Okay.
Because I'm thinking about administrative or calendar point of view.
Right.
Why would you have exams directly after holidays? Like, wouldn't exams be before the holidays?
I mean...
Because then for the whole holidays, you just have the looming dread of, I've got to do exams.
Yeah, I have to study.
Yeah. There's a rule for finishing exams.
Well, I mean, with Harry Potter as the headmaster now, who knows what's going to happen?
Who knows, yeah.
Yeah. Everybody hates exams. They are stupid. At my school, we have to do them in year 7. What the fuck? I love how, like, you got it around here. What the fuck? We were in year 7? Stupid exams. I swear to God.
So this is, to be clear, that is written in the book.
Yeah.
At my school, so again, never in Harry Potter did J.K. Rowling said, back when I was at school, the teachers weren't that mean, but at my school, we have to do them in year 7. Just to really see where he's coming from, I guess.
True. Well, hey, I mean, some people have diaries. Some people have their best mates, even their parents. Maybe your outlet of Harry Potter and the Boys, just writing.
So, all my frustrations per day.
Like, I'd hate to imagine the kind of person you'd be now if you didn't get this out in year 7. Like,
why do I have to do exams?
He would be such an angry man. I swear.
Cool.
So wait, where am I up to? Okay. Yeah. Cool. Harry Potter decided to have exams for every year level.
When he first became headmaster. It was one of the first things he did as headmaster, aside from being assigned from the head of giving head role, which was mentioned in a previous chapter. But that's a story for another time. So
the grammar here is on point.
So Harry, in an earlier chapter, it was said he is the headmaster of Hogwarts and also the head of giving head.
Now that's a t-shirt, right?
I don't know what school you went to, but... And not to get into full Harry Potter and the Boys narrator mode, but at my school, there was...
There's a head of giving head? What?
There was
St. Kevin's was fucked.
I'm the head of tennis. I'm the head of rowing. I'm the head of volleyball. Head of giving head.
That's some pretty smart thinking right there.
But also it says that Harry was assigned the head of giving head role. So someone was like, guys... We need a head of giving head. Harry, would you be interested? Yeah, I love giving head.
Hagrid was too old.
Yeah. But yeah, it does draw into question, and we find out in a future book or chapter.
Who knows?
What are the responsibilities of the head of giving head?
Well, that's a whole fanfic of itself. I'm sure. Yeah. If we get fanfic of this fanfic and have some fanfic inception going on, that would be crazy.
But I don't want to look. I mean, some images do come to mind, and that's fine. Lots of people do that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I think this is a kid's book, so I don't want to jump to conclusions.
No.
I want to assume that maybe in Harry Potter world, the head of giving head is something different. Like giving head is not...
It's like regrowing a head. Like if someone gets a head chop off, head growth osa or something.
It could be that. And that's why I'm not jumping to conclusions until there is evidence in the book. until the canon outlines it.
Evidence. Considering you were 13 when you wrote this, it's like that's prime humor. I think that really evidence.
We don't know though. We can't jump to conclusions.
Well, and continuing on, the day was almost over, so the boys decided to visit Hagrid. They walked down to Hagrid's hut. They knocked on the door. Hagrid opened the door. "Hi, Hagrid," the boys said. "You better go to potions now," said Hagrid.
This is a return of a previous. Lots of callbacks.
One of the best in-jokes on this story.
A lot of people. There is a Discord, which is a group chat kind of thing that Pat is in.
Yeah,
and
full of smelly nerds like myself.
It's for the Radio Mike Society, the radio family.
Yeah.
And often you will just get someone send a message that's just, you better go to potions now.
Classic right there.
I believe it was Lewis Spears' episode a few 6 months ago now.
Yeah.
Where the bit of Hagrid's hut say, "Hi, Hagrid," and he, without saying anything else, says, "You better go to potions now." And once again, the boys just want to visit Hagrid, and he's just dismissing them to potions without saying a word. So rude.
Well, that gets resolved in this next line. "It's the holidays," yelled Michael. Hagrid looked taken aback, as though he said something stupid, which is actually quite ironic because you've spelt something SOMMETHIGN. So it's like, Summit-Hagen.
I like to think again, author's intention.
This is like, it's meant to question you. It's meant to evoke. Yeah. It's art, right?
Yeah.
He looked around for a bit, and all the boys stood there in silence for about 3 minutes. Literally, just no one was saying anything. At one point, Hagrid did a light fart, but it wasn't very stinky.
So much going on here, and I want you to step into these shoes.
Okay.
You're at school. It's the last day of the holidays. You're friends with the caretaker of the school, who's a lovely dude.
Yeah.
You go, let's pay him a visit. You walk in, you knock on his door. He answers. You say, "G'day, Hagrid." He says, "You better go to potions." It's the holidays, and then everybody stands there for 3 minutes. 3 minutes just looking around, saying nothing, and then Hagrid farts lightly, but not
lightly, not like
lightly.
That. Maybe more like
a light fart, but not very. You are dealing with the awkwardness of the sound of the fart.
True.
But you aren't having to deal with the grossness of the smell of the fart. So there is a payoff.
I mean, at least we can appreciate that. He may have farted, but at least it wasn't that stinky.
No smell.
Yeah.
I have a gift for you, Sam. Fantastic Hagrid impression. So
thank you.
He has a gift for Sam. Yeah. Interesting.
Hagrid said suddenly. He moved over to the cupboard and pulled out a giant picture of Sam that he had painted out of what looks like poo. It was signed by Hagrid with the note, "From your pal, the Haganator."
I will say, this is not the first time in the book that a character has expressed their artistic endeavors through the medium of poo.
I think it's a real untapped medium. I think we're really onto something here.
But it is interesting because, earlier under Dixon, who I mentioned before, he was, it was Careers Week at Hogwarts, and he was assigned the plumber or something, and he was drawing stuff out of poo. And now Hagrid is doing the same thing. So again, you don't jump to conclusions. Maybe at this point in the Harry Potter world, poo is an acceptable art medium.
Well, I mean, considering Jet Canon, that it's like, you just vanish it away.
Yeah, maybe why not turn it into a paint?
Yeah, maybe that's where all the poo goes. Think about it. It goes to like art supply stores or something.
So, but then we also have to think, if Hagrid has done that, he's got the poo paint. One is
poo paint.
One is his poo or someone who. Why has he drawn a portrait of an 11-year-old student? And he's given it to him with the note, and please say it in the Hagrid voice.
From your pal, the Haganator.
Because I guess, also, at what point had a nickname the Haganator? It certainly wasn't during Harry's time at Hogwarts.
No, it must have been in the recent. Maybe someone just called, "Hey, the Haganator," and he was like, "You know what? That sticks. I think I'll use it." Who knows? I imagine that's what happened.
In the last 50 years, Hagrid has started going by the Haganator.
Yeah, sure.
And also poo painting.
Poo paint, poo ain't in stores now. Maybe that can be like official merch in the show. Whether it's like real poo or not will be one thing. But again, just
And feel free to, if you are so inclined, send in your poo paintings.
Or maybe
don't send it.
No.
Take a photo
take
of
a
them
photo and then fine.
don't send
Anything
a
else.
physical.
Otherwise, that'll be kind of fucked.
I mentioned last week that someone wrote into the pod at radiomikepod@gmail.com and said, this podcast is so gross. All you talk about is poo and farts and dicks. And I'm like, well, we've had poo and farts this chapter. No dicks yet. So
True.
You never know.
Yeah, it's a big Kinder Surprise of poo and dicks, but in book form. Cool. Thanks, Hagrid, Sam said. Aren't you happy, Sam? Asked Hagrid. What?
So I actually, it's actually not, he's not saying, aren't you happy, Sam? He's written as A-R-E-N. So he's saying,
Aaron, you happy, Sam?
I think it's Aaron, you happy, Sam?
Like, it's that like whole accent thing. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's thanks, Hagrid, said Sam.
Yeah.
Aaron, you happy, Sam? So Hagrid is insecure. He's like, what? Don't you like it, Sam?
Yeah.
Shouldn't. I even wrote the Hagganator on it. Aaron, you happy, Sam?
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, so...
Aaron, you happy, Sam?
Yeah. What? Said Sam. Aren't you happy, Sam? Hagrid again, solemnly. Solemnly? Is that...
He solemnly said,
Yeah.
Aaron, you Sam?
Asked Hagrid again solemnly. Are you happy? Sorry, are you asking me if I'm happy? Sam said. Aren't you happy, Sam? Hagrid replied solemnly. So he's really like no breaks on here. Hagrid really wants to know.
Yeah, but I'm sorry, my favorite part of it is the word Aaron. Like just in real life, Aaron, you doing well at school at the moment?
Yeah, aren't you Radio Mike from a podcast that I listen to?
Aaron, you happy, sir? I love that. That's the new. You better go to post.
Yeah. Like imagine like you podcast like someone's like, oh hey Mike, I think you made a mistake at this time, Mark, and you just like, aren't you happy? That has to be a thing now.
But also just the confused Sam. He's just like, sorry, are you asking me if I'm happy? Aren't you happy, Sam?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's great, said Sam. Excuse me, Hagrid, said Michael. I can't even make out what this said.
Try your best.
I'm gonna try and pronounce it before I spell it out.
Yeah.
Are you into Reckon-you-do? Did I say that right? So
spell it out for the listeners.
So are you into Reckon-you-do, whatever. So into is spelled I-N-T-T-O, so there's one extra T. And then the last word
Reckon-you-do
is R-K-E-N-T-O-Y-O-U, do. So it's...
Are you into Ark-and-do? Aren't you happy?
What? Asked Tom. I ain't talking to you two, said Hagrid.
Oh, that's what he's saying. So, are you into you two? He was saying, I ain't talking to you two.
Oh, so
and I think
it's Hagrid is aware of like his pronunciation.
It's almost like the narrator didn't know what Hagrid said, so he just spelt what he thought he heard.
Which is a great way of doing that.
Which was, are you into Canute? I can do
This is some man.
Aren't you happy with my writing?
Aren't you happy with my reading?
So, okay.
Oh, great. Just what we need, said Michael.
So Michael interrupts with, excuse me, Hagrid. He says, he basically says, I'm not talking to you two.
Shut the fuck up.
Which we don't know why. There's no pre-existing reason for Hagrid to not be.
No.
Oh, actually, wow. I've just realized that was Michael and Tom. Michael and Tom were in Hagrid's bed and they didn't show up to a rehearsal. Someone who cares about this podcast story more than me and doesn't just get increasingly confused every week and is actually following it, just write in. But I think it's something, that's why he's not talking to them.
Like, do you reckon like the band's broken up and now Hagrid's like, instead of like using, like, he's like, oh, the name's so good, I'm from you. Like he's just repurposing it. He's very frugal. I think that's actually pretty cool.
Hagrid like hasn't done like any of the like caretaking work at Hogwarts, and Harry Potter's like, Hagrid, why haven't you done any of your work? Aren't you happy, Harry? No, we're not happy.
Could you imagine like back in the day, like when the original Harry Potter books are set and done, so, you know, Hagrid, I'm really not happy with the way, that's more of a Snape voice. Okay, let's just turn to Snape. Hagrid, I'm really not happy with the way my classroom was left. And he just said, are you happy? And like, He's still like, no, I'm saying, aren't you happy, Snape? Aren't you happy, Snape?
Sorry, are you asking me if I'm happy?
Aren't you happy, Snape?
I haven't been happy since Lily died. And that's what Snape would say.
Man, I would love...
He's dead in this book. Snape, I don't get in this book, unlike Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, where...
I would do anything to hear I read that in audiobook form.
What, aren't you happy, Sam?
Yeah.
Aren't you happy, Sam?
Happy? Yeah. Aren't you happy, Sam?
All right, let's continue.
Yeah. So, yeah. What the heck was the point of that whole visit to Hagrid? Asked the narrator. I don't know. He replied to himself. That's so good.
It does sometimes feel as though me at 13 was like, well, it's a Harry Potter book. Like, Hagrid has to be in it, but there's not really a place for him.
You know what it's like? It's like you're the...
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, put it down.
It's like you're a drama teacher, right? And like you're watching the play happen and you're just sitting there like, yeah, seeing it happen. And then like someone adds something and then you're just like, why isn't this a thing? Or like you're just adding, it's like, you're like the other voice.
It's kind of like the narrator is heckling at his own stand-up comedy.
Yeah, exactly.
like he's telling us like, the hell was the point of that story?
Yeah.
I don't know. But it does feel like, I just wanted to include Hagrid in the book.
Yeah.
But I couldn't think of what to do with him, which is why every time they go to Hagrid, he's like, you better go to potions.
Yeah. When in doubt, aren't you happy? Oh, man. When the boys woke up the next day, they were greeted by Hermione. Just kidding. I know it's actually pronounced Hermione. Just a little throwback to that whole debacle from before I was born.
Sorry, mate. This is my fan fiction.
Okay,
you do that on your own fan fiction.
Yeah. Producer Pat reads Harry Potter and the Boys coming soon to nowhere. Sorry, if I'll reread this purposely. Please do. Very sorry, Mr. Author. When the boys woke up the next day, they were greeted by Hermione and told to meet her in the transfiguration room for the first exam. Your time starts now, she said.
It was really awkward because they hadn't even sat down. But suddenly, the exam had starter with literally no warning. Because that was, in terms of the prose that the author chooses, it's like, they were greeted by Hermione and told to meet her in the transfiguration room. Your time starts now. That's how quick, that's a really good, reflection.
Yeah, no, hey, hi, how are you?
Yeah, just your time starts now.
Yeah, go.
So it was awkward. It was really awkward.
They literally hadn't even sat down, but suddenly the exam had starter with starter with literally no warning. Oh my God, this gets even better. Gemini Jones was still in the toilet doing a poo at the time and he had run out of the toilet.
With his pants down to start the exam, which was awkward.
Maybe he was gathering supplies for Hagrid?
I just... Aren't you happy, Gemini? I don't want to keep donating my poos for your artwork. Aren't you happy, Gemini? Gemini Jones, of course, one of the other boys, is essentially identical to Lockie, but that has not been explored in any detail.
I swear, like, Hagrid's going to find his way to power, like, the top of the Ministry of Magic. He's like, what are you doing in my office? Aren't you happy, Minister? Until, like, eventually he just gets the role.
He joins Voldemort, and Voldemort's like, Hagrid, you haven't killed Harry Potter yet.
You haven't killed Harry Potter yet?
Aren't you happy, Tom? Because his name's Tom.
Well, Hagrid is like the king of peer pressure. It's amazing.
But Hagrid would be the guy to be like, hey, Tom, let's put it all behind us. Let's get a beer. Even though it's like, it's his fault he was expelled. It's his burdening.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Let's continue.
Yeah, so
Gemini Jones was doing a poo.
A massive shit.
Yeah.
And the boys looked at the paper. It was a pretty simple multiple choice exam. What spell would you...
I guess now we're on the exam.
What spell would you use to turn a person into a shovel?
And we did learn this spell earlier in the book. So this is actually...
I'm being tested right now.
It's sort of like you, the reader of the book, is like, this is a little quiz section of the book. How fun.
Yeah.
It's interactive.
Taylor's just... So
I also do love, like, J.K. Rowling never did this where the book just becomes the exam.
Yeah, she's so up herself. Like, I need you to prove that you like this book.
Yeah. So play along at home because, this question...
We'll put the questions up on screen. That's extra editing for Mike.
I'm not doing that.
Yeah. Well, or pay me more. What spell would you use to turn a person into a shovel? Sectum Sempra. Sector Sempra.
It's a...
Sorry.
Do it as an Eddie Maguire, I guess, kind of.
A. If we're doing this in my
Just
voice,
do it as you. Just do it as you.
Okay. Sectum sempra. B. Sector sempra. C. John Tomono. John Tomono.
And John Tomono has not appeared as a spell in this book, so it's not that.
It's and D is Sectamono.
Actually, this is clever of me as a 13-year-old because this is actually a reference to, in the earlier chapter, the spell that turns someone into a shovel, I will reveal now, is B, Sector Sempra. But there is also a spell in Harry Potter, Sectum Sempra, which slices its body, right? So a student accessing himself and killing other students accidentally instead of using Sector Sempra.
Hagrid, I just killed someone. Aren't you happy?
No.
Hide the body? Aren't you happy?
Hide the body, Sam.
And then the next question is,
how do you say hello in Japanese? And I believe at this point I was doing year 7 Japanese.
I might need you to pronounce this because I'm not too familiar.
So A is Ogenki desu ka? B is Ohayo gozaimasu, and then C is just beep boop. So still play along, not really relevant, but
I'm trying to imagine what the answer would be. It's pretty hard, really.
Do you know the answer?
It's definitely not A or B, that's for sure.
Yeah. No, it is B. It is Ohayo gozaimasu, but
okay, and then the next question.
Where should students not go at Hogwarts? A, the Forbidden Forest. B, the 3rd floor corridor. C, Neville's office. Or D, the Wizard's chess room for Wizard's chess only and nothing suspicious. I'm struggling to know the answer to this because it's where should students not go? The Forbidden Forest, we know they shouldn't go.
Yeah.
The 3rd floor corridor in the first book and movie was out of bounds because that's where they were keeping the Philosopher's Stone.
Right.
Neville's office, no idea. But then the Wizard's chess room...
Is Neville a teacher in your book?
He's the herbologist. Okay. So is Hermione.
Okay, cool.
The Wizard's chess room, nothing suspicious, has not been mentioned at any point in the book. So, yeah, I don't know the answer to that one.
Who knows? It was the easiest exam ever.
So, not for us.
No. Aren't you happy?
Next up, they had the potions exam. Mr. Charger had written a different potions exam for every student. The Slytherins had the easier questions.
And the Gryffindors had the hardest and the meanest questions.
Not how exams work, by the way.
No, that's like...
You can't just like, I'm an English teacher. For half the class, I'll do an essay on the book we've been studying, and then for the other half, I'm just doing a book we haven't studied.
This is some like wizard discrimination or something. Yeah. It's messed up, man. Is A, the worst team. B, the best team. C, the second worst team. D, the second best team.
So I guess, and that's a subjective question. The answer would change.
It's all a matter of opinion.
But I guess Mr. Charger is the one writing these questions.
True. So you got to think, what would Charger do? Like, forget what would Jesus do. We got to make those
WCD.
Yeah, we got to make those bracelets.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. What did Michael Carmichael and Sam Thompson see on the holidays that they should never talk to anyone about or they'll be killed?
So imagine this is just on their exam and this is a way for Mr. Charger to threaten them threaten to kill them in exam form.
Yeah. Aren't you happy? So A, Mr. Charger and Dragon Mailboy. I was about to ask if that was a typo, but let's be honest, I think we can tell what this is. It's out of integrity.
Yeah.
B, no one. C, nothing. D, the above. A, B, and C only, which is no one and all of the above. So this is blowing my brain. This is incredible.
So I guess like the true answer is A, Mr. Charger and Dragon Mailboy. But I would Michael or Tom, and I had this question on the exam. I definitely wouldn't say A because that would be, I would die. You'd kill me.
Yeah.
B, no one, I would say yeah. I saw no one. C, I saw nothing. D, all of the above, I wouldn't say because then we get A, which is Mr. Charger and Dragon Mailboy. So the answer is B, which is no one and nothing. So you choose E.
That blows my brain.
That clears you.
Well, I definitely failed that one, said Luke. Hagrid appeared next to the boys. Oh, no, we won't say it yet. No, yeah, hang on. It's coming. Don't, guys. It's coming.
So Hagrid's just appeared post-exam.
Yeah. Hagrid appeared next to the boys. They hoped he would ask about the exams and how they went.
And maybe file a complaint about Mr. Charger making different exams for different students.
Mike, Guess what he says.
I've read the
Guess
next
what he
line.
says next.
Well, I've read the line. I know what he said.
Well, audience, do
Yeah.
you want to know what he says? I'll tell you what he says.
Pick it up from
Okay.
Sam, just so
Cool.
we've got the right. This is how it would have played out in real
Right.
time.
All right. Hi, Hagrid, said Sam when he saw Hagrid. Aren't you happy, said And that's it. That's the end of the chapter.
Incredible job.
Thank you.
I've taken the laptop off you.
Yeah, because I can't be with a laptop. But no, this was fantastic. I can definitely see the appeal of this as someone who doesn't regularly listen to the show.
Do you think that? Do you have any theories of like where the story's heading? Because like what I will say is this chapter seemed very. If you had to summarize that chapter, what would you say happened in it?
I would say, aren't you happy? No, I don't know. It was like end of the holidays, and then they go see Hagrid, dick around, and then do exists and says the line, but yeah.
Any theories?
I don't know. I mean, maybe we'll get to hear more of Hagrid's artistic interpretations. Oh my god, could you imagine? Because you know the whole not the whole JK said poo gets vanished.
Yeah.
But like, do you reckon like it goes directly to like Hagrid's hut? Maybe he's got like, because you know how like his hut's
Instead of there's the flu network, Hagrid's got the poo network.
Oh my god, this is more than a theory. This is a conspiracy theory.
Do you reckon it started with like Harry Potter going to Hagrid and it's like, look, Hagrid, the plumbing is too expensive. We need like another place of storing poo. And as headmaster and head of Giving Head, I have made the executive decision that all the poo at Hogwarts is going to sent to your place.
But then, instead of Hagrid using his line, he's like, no, like this doesn't sound good. But then, can you guess what Harry says?
Aren't you happy, Hagrid?
And then Hagrid's just like, oh my god, and he has an existential crisis. Like, I can't not. I have to do this.
That's actually a good theory. Like, I would like to accept Hagrid's work as my headcanon for Harry Potter and the Boys. Like, I'm going to say, I'm going to, as the author of this book,
we're officiating it.
I'm going to say, 14 years after it was written,
yeah,
I did intend that. It was supposed to be the Poo Network. So, yeah, thank you guys.
Simply brilliant. I hope
you can follow Pat on Instagram, Pat70
Show.
Show.
At Pat70 Show.
Yeah. Anything else to plug?
I have a Redbubble page. I don't really... I imagine you'll put some screenshots on the page. Thanks, Mike. That's very kind of you.
No worries, man.
Yeah, if you want to get some pop culture inspired stickers, t-shirts, whatever, get out.
What's the link? Redbubble.com.
It's under the name Jude's Bulldog, so it'll be judesbulldog.redbubble.com.
Jude's as in like Hey Jude?
Yeah,
like
that's
Beatles?
exactly what. Yeah, that's the whole name is like a Beatles pun because it's Hey Jude and then Hey Bulldog, so it's Jude's Bulldog.
Cool. Some great art there.
Yeah.
And obviously patreon.com/Radio Mike. If you do like this show and
you want to pay me, like you don't give a fuck about money.
Well,
you just want me to get the money.
No, but if like honestly guys, like if you like this show or any of the stuff I do and you would just be willing to do $1 a month, which is $12 a year.
You only afford that.
Of which Patreon takes like a 30% cut anyway.
So 70 cents.
So we probably end up with like...
So give him a nugget. That's a throwback war.
Yeah. So get on the Patreon. Feel free to donate. We'd love to do that. It helps. Pat's doing an amazing job ever since we brought Pat on in January.
A-Day.
But the growth on like all my stuff is great. So Pat's very valued to the business.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
We're not really a business yet.
Aren't you happy, Mike?
But Pat is really valued. So like if you want to support what we do, donation to paypal.me/itsradiomike. But
send me money to my PayPal.
Or just directly. If you want to just shout Pat a coffee, send $4 to Pat's PayPal. Or just send it to my PayPal.
And he'll send it to me.
But put a note. I want 100% of Pat. Do that. I will send it specifically to Pat.
Or like you do I want like 70% to Mike, but 30% to Pat.
Yeah.
So it's like Pat's tip, like Pat's scraps.
Yeah, do that.
Pat's scraps. Now,
Pat scraps. Guys, we will see you next week for another episode of Harry Potter and the Boys. Make sure you catch our Owl Post episodes, which come out on Sunday. But I will say... first of all, goodbye to the purebloods, goodbye to the half-bloods, goodbye to the mudbloods. Pat, you look like you want to say something.
Expecto podcast overum.
Aren't you happy, podcasters?
See you later. Goodbye.
This podcast was a Radio Mike original production. Head to radiomike.com.au to check out all our other content, stay up to date at radio.mike on Instagram, and get in touch, radiomikepod@gmail.com.